Last week, we saw the S&P 500 making another new all-time high. However, stocks are fast approaching the second worst period of time, and this week could be action-packed with plenty of volatility. Now, we start off looking at the Fear and Greed Index. Right now, we're sitting at 49. We are almost dead smack in the middle between fear and greed. Then we come over and look at the most recent investor sentiment survey that we just got out here last week. The bulls are back. 43.4%. We're bullish, and we can see the neutral dropped off quite a bit along with the bears. The prior week, the bears were at 40.6, and that's really no surprise given the fact that the S&P 500 was making new all-time highs. As we come over, we take a look at the SPY versus HYG. Notice the SPY this week was able to come out, make another new all-time high, but HYG is not there just yet. HYG has definitely firmed up over the past couple weeks. Then we look at the Dow Jones versus the transportation index. Look at the Dow Jones, the chart on the top. It is very close to making another new all-time highs. Then we look down here at the chart on the bottom, and we can see the transportations are lacking here just a bit. And let's not forget, we need to keep our eye out here on the yield curve. We can see over the past couple weeks, the yield curve has most certainly been steepening, and that is going to be very important coming this week, for the simple fact that in 3 days, we have the next FOMC meeting. And right now, the market is pricing in a 97.9% chance the Fed is going to do nothing at the next meeting. And let me know in the comment section down below, do you guys think the next move that the Fed makes is going to be raising rates or lowering rates? And I'm not talking about at this meeting. I'm saying once they stop the pause, do you guys think it's going to go higher? Or do you think Jay Powell is going to be back on cutting rates? So the FOMC is only going to be one volatility catalyst that we have potentially this week. But let's not forget, we also have the threat of tariff talks. We've seen the market sell off drastically when the current administration starts talking about hiking up tariffs on Canada and Mexico and all countries around. And then let's not forget, we are in earnings season. Starting off on Monday, we have SoFi coming out, AT&T, Nucor, just to name a few. We have Boeing coming out on Tuesday. We have Meta, we have Tesla, we have Microsoft, we have Intel, we have Apple. So we have a lot of the Mag 7 stocks going to be reporting earnings out here this week, along with Jay Powell. So we have the perfect recipe for some big moves in the stock market. Then if we come over, look at which stock has the biggest expected move out here this week, it's going to be Tesla, plus or minus 10%, followed by Intel on Thursday, plus or minus 10%. So this week is going to be action-packed. So last week, as the S&P 500 was making new all-time highs, we come over and look at some of the Mag 7 stocks like Apple. Apple has been absolutely getting destroyed. Apple from all-time highs right up here down to the recent low from this week is down roughly 15.5%. We even come over and take a look at Nvidia on Friday, getting a nasty bearish engulfing candle, trying to work its way back down into the gap. But then we have Meta, just like the S&P 500, making new all-time highs. We take a look at Tesla, also starting to look a little bit weak here, looking like it may want to start to falter and come back down. If Tesla comes back down towards these lows, watch out, it's likely going to go substantially lower. And if we try to look for a logical target in Tesla, we can look for this move, something like this. We have the A to B, the B to C leg, and that would project right down here for D next to the high volume area on the profile at about 347.24. However, regardless of the chart pattern we see setting up, earnings coming out can destroy any chart pattern that we are watching. So we most certainly need to pay attention to the earnings coming out this week. Now the question is the second worst period in time coming up going to be enough to derail the S&P continue to push to new all-time highs? Something we want to keep an eye on as well is that Nasdaq is not quite at all-time highs. If we measure from the all-time high right down to the closing price on Friday, we only need roughly a 1.65% move to get the Qs back to making new all-time highs. And like we talked about earlier, we have plenty of catalysts that could get it up towards that area. Now, if we look at what is the worst period of time, and this is going to be the seasonality chart, and if we go and look at by months, we can see September is the worst month out here for stocks, where it has lost minus 0.08% on average. But then we come over and we look at February. February is only up 0.2% of time. That is the average return for February. So we know historically February could be a problem for the stock market. And then we look at stocks sitting very close to near all-time highs. We could once again fall into a weak period of time where we see stocks starting to correct possibly fill in some of these nasty gaps that we have left behind. Now, if you'd like a way to support the channel at no additional cost to yourself, check out the 3 prop firms I trade with: Apex Trader Funding, My Fund and Futures, and Take Profit Trader. Right now, you can get the best deal out there using the promo codes and the links down below. Now, as we've seen the fear and greed index starting to improve and some of the fear removed from the market, we also see the breadth that's starting to strengthen. Look at stocks above the 20-period moving average. We went from being all the way down here to only 6% of stocks, all the way up here to roughly right around 78% of stocks are now above the 20-period moving average. Then we look at stocks above the 50-period moving average, and now we are back over that 50 price point, which means there's a lot further to the upside that we could potentially go before things start to get a little bit overheated. Because when we scroll back and we look at historically, when the market drops, we see stocks above the 50 somewhere around 92%, and right now we are only sitting at 51.8. So again, there could be a lot further to go to the upside. However, just because there is potential for a further upside move does not mean there won't be turbulence up ahead. For instance, we look at the SPY again real quick. We see that ever since we broke out from this declining trend line, we have been marching on the way up. Then if we measure from the recent swing low right up here to the all-time high on Friday, the S&P 500 has made a straight leg up at about 6.22%. We come over and look at how the weekly candle closed and look at the way the closed. Yes, the MACD looks a little bit weak, looks a little bit tired. However, the market does not care about that at this moment. And notice we not only spiked above all-time high this week, we also were able to close back above that price point. And we have a very small wick on the top of that candle. Jumping back over and look at the daily chart, we can see this glaring gap right below us, but it's not just that gap right there, because as we dive down and start looking at the 1-hour chart, notice, yes, we have a gap right here, but then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 gaps on this move up, which still have not been able to come back and get filled. So will it be this week that we actually come back and start filling in some of these gaps? Something I'm going to be watching for out here on Monday is going to be the fact that when we look at the 30-minute profiles, notice we kind of have a double distribution profile. You see we've built out a lot of volume near the bottom, but we also have a lot of volume up here with the profile being very thin up in this area. So don't be surprised if we see the SPY making a run back towards 609 or so. But if we start breaking the lows from Friday, watch out for the potential gap to come back and get filled at about 602.93. Now, when we come over and look at the futures markets real quick, we're going to start off looking at the weekly profiles and notice where price is now. Even though the SPY and the SPX cash made new all-time highs, we did not see the futures markets making new all-time highs, but we are not very far away. As we zoom up this profile real quick, notice we basically close in right near the point of control and right near a high volume node on the composite profile as well. However, something we were talking about during the live streams, which brings me to a point. If you want to make sure you don't miss the next time I go live, make sure you're subscribed and you have the bell notifications turned on for all. But essentially, we had this minus development area that was formed on this week's profile. Do not be the slightest bit surprised if we start coming down into that area. And could this be the case where we start setting up a head and shoulders pattern on the 4-hour chart? Left shoulder, head, and then do we come down a little bit more, pop up, maybe set a right shoulder, and then maybe start to come down and test out some of these other high volume nodes and even the untested point of control from a few weeks back down here at 5987.75. Now, as we look at this week's volume profiles, we have value area low coming in at 6088.75. We're got the point of control at 6127.75 with value area high being 6160 and a quarter. Now, if we do start breaking back above this recent high, then we start coming back down below it. That's when I really want to start to focus on these volume profile levels to the downside. Yes, we can still use this level down here, but also I think it makes a lot more sense because as we start coming into the minus development area, just like we do on the intraday charts that we talk about on the stream, the first time we come into it, most likely we get it bounce out or we start to consolidate around that area. So trying to target near this swing point here might not be a bad idea, somewhere in the ballpark of about 6102. Now, when we come over and we start looking at the daily profiles real quick, notice we still had an untested point of control up here at about 6164 and a quarter. And actually something I forgot to mention looking over here at the weekly profiles, if we do start breaking above value area high, then you know what? The next logical target is going to be all the way up here at all-time high, somewhere in the ballpark of 6178. So we're not that far from that area up there. Then as we come over and look at the daily charts, notice we barely closed below value area low out here on Friday, which will come in at 61.33.5. If we start getting back above that price point, then we do have the untested point of control, 61.48.5, and then value area high at 61.58. However, if we stay below value area low, then I most certainly want to turn my attention towards lower prices. Now, one of the areas we were talking about on Friday was going to be this minus development area, about 61.20. However, we just barely missed that at the low of the day on Friday. Anything below that price point, I would then want to turn my attention to this point of control at 6,081.75. And that area also matches up very closely with this high volume area on the composite profile as well. And keep in mind, we have plenty of catalysts this week to really get massive moves in the stock market. Now, we come over and look at the economic calendar. Last week, we had very, very little high impact news items. However, this week is going to be drastically different. Starting off on Monday, we have new home sales coming out at 10 a.m. And then we look over here on Tuesday, we have durable good orders coming out. We have the CS Composite 20 HPI. We have consumer confidence. Then on Wednesday, that's going to be the big one out there. Papa Powell is going to flex that mighty bicep of his. And we're going to see, will the market go up or down after the FOMC statement and press conference? Then on Thursday, we come over and look and we can see we have advanced GDP, weekly unemployment claims, we have pending home sales. Then on Friday, we have the core PCE price index, employment costs, along with Chicago PMI. So this week is exactly the opposite of what we saw out here last week. Now, when we come over and look at the QQQs real quick, notice how this weekly candle closed. We have a wick on the top. We also have a wick on the bottom. And unlike the S&P 500, we did not make another new all-time high. Out here on the daily chart, you can see we have a couple bar consolidation right up at these levels. And if we start to pull back from here, we measure a Fibonacci retracement from the swing low up here towards the swing high. Will we make it down towards the 38% retracement, which would actually be enough to fill this large gap here and come back and test this high volume area at about 521.89. Then as we come over and start looking at the 4-hour chart, MACD indicator is starting to get that roll effect. It's been very strong over the past couple sessions, but then on the 30-minute chart, we can see MACD indicator is all the way back at the zero line. So like I say all the time, if we have a strong move up, we consolidate near the highs, the MACD indicator gets near the zero line, watch out, that could be nothing more than a recharge point for another move higher. Now on Friday and Thursday, we did get into that gap. However, we have been unsuccessful coming all the way down and filling this gap yet. That will be a target at some point in the future at 524.70. And keep in mind, if that pullback does get in the way, even if we pull back the 50 or even 61.8, that does nothing in terms of say that the top isn't in the market. The Nasdaq most likely will still make another new all-time high at some point. The only question is, do we get a pullback before the all-time high comes into play? Then as we come over, we start looking at the Nasdaq futures markets, and we see we have this double top-ish pattern, and we're coming down. We basically wicked right down towards the edge of that minus development area on the profile. And as I'm looking at this, we have value area high coming up here, 22,087.25. We have the point of control at 22,007.25 with value area low being 21,846.25. Now, one thing I want to be on the lookout for is, can the market make it down towards this minus development area? And if we get down there, do we simply reject and go back up and try to take out these highs? Keep in mind, if we get close near these highs, then I'm not going to be looking at this as a triple top failure. I'll be looking for the Nasdaq to continue to push higher, maybe all the way up towards the next untested point of control at about 22,301.5. However, if we can break down below this area, then we can also make the case that we have a double top trading pattern. And where that pattern would actually terminate would be down here about 21,621. Then if we pull a Fibonacci retracement from the swing low all the way up here towards the swing high, notice the 38% retracement is still below where that double top pattern would come into play. And a 38% retracement would be nothing more than a minor retracement and what could still be a very bullish move in this market. As we come over and start looking at the daily profiles, notice we close well below value area low, which came in at 21,943.25. We have the point of control up here at 22,007.25 with value area high being 22,078.25. Now, we already have this minus development area marked off from the live stream on Friday, and that could still come into play. But keep in mind the rule, whenever we close outside of value, I expect value area low to come back and be tested within the next 1 to 2 sessions. Since we're dealing with daily profiles, a session would be a full trading day. So either Monday or Tuesday, I expect we'll come back and revisit that level, and we'll see, do we push up through it further, potentially testing out that minus development area, or do we simply just continue to reject lower? Keep in mind, we do have an untested point of control down here, 21,723 and 3/4. So the question is, do we start retracing this move down, setting up a larger ABC pattern on the higher time frames, which could actually take the Nasdaq back to new all-time highs? Now, if you guys like to trade with prop firms, you want to check out this video right here. I did a review on Take Profit Trader, and I gotta say, it might be the most underrated prop firm out there.